Every time before it gets dark, this man sprinkles alcohol on the door of his house. As soon as he returns home, the first thing he does is clean his dog. The moment he sees the sun is about to set, he immediately installs special steel plates and shuts the doors and windows. But even without a single light on in the house, he still does not feel safe. He clutches his rifle to his chest and curls up in the corner with his dog. Only then does he find peace. The reason this man has taken such tight security measures is because as soon as the darkness of night falls, the outside world no longer belongs to humans. Terrifying hordes of zombies roam the streets, spreading terror. Because nearly 5 years ago, in 2012, a virus wreaked havoc. This virus killed 90% of humans, while 9% of people turned into zombies. These zombies are afraid of sunlight. They only come out at night, and their sense of smell is extremely sharp. Our story's main character, Will, has survived this virus because he belongs to less than 1% of the entire world's population who have a strong antibody. Will was speeding through the deserted streets of New York, driving his Ford Mustang. He was chasing a deer right through the middle of the city. In this world, where he is now the only one left alive, food has become the most basic and most essential need. But just as he was about to make the kill, suddenly a lioness pounced and surrounded the deer before he could. Seeing his prey snatched away, Will thinks about shooting the lioness. Just then, a lion and a cub also come out. Seeing all three of them, Will is reminded of his dead family. He does not pull the trigger because he knows that lions maintain the balance of nature. Before heading out in search of other survivors, he goes to his underground medical room and checks whether the mutant rats have returned to normal with the treatment, but he still sees no difference. Will is actually a brilliant scientist. He has developed a gene therapy based on a virus vaccine. Just when he felt that today would also be a disappointing day, he noticed that one of the mutant rats no longer had the strength to attack. This gave him the sense that the rat was slowly returning to normal. If the experiment performed on this rat is successful, he can also turn those zombies back into normal humans. To search for survivors and zombie hideouts during the daytime, Will leaves home every day at exactly 8 o'clock in the morning. Every day he drives to the video store. He changes the ladder there and chats with the mannequins he had already placed. Seeing this, no one can even imagine how lonely a person can be, that he has to make mannequins his friends. He marks every location he visits on a map and collects food and essential supplies at those places. In search of other survivors, he calls on the radio every day at exactly 12 noon and drives to the dock hoping for a miracle. But 3 full years passed. He never got a reply. To reduce his loneliness, Will goes to the Enterprise aircraft carrier in the afternoon and stands on a plane to play golf. But during this time, his dog noticed something strange. There was movement somewhere in the distance. Will immediately picks up his rifle, looks through the scope, and finds that it is a deer. Without any delay, he sets out with his dog to hunt. But then a bad incident occurs. The deer, running here and there, accidentally gets trapped in an enclosed space and panics and enters a building. Perhaps the dog had not had meat for a very long time. So without any fear, he also goes inside the building after it. Will tries to stop him. Will is frightened, but for the sake of his dog, he has no choice but to go inside. Inside, it was completely dark. Nothing was visible at all. Even if I had turned up the brightness of the video all the way, the atmosphere still felt even more scary and terrifying. At this moment, Will's heart was pounding terribly. Even a mirror was enough to scare him. Just as he was going upstairs searching for his dog, he suddenly heard a painful scream. Fearing that something bad might have happened to his dog, he consoled himself and moved forward. Following the blood stains on the stairs around the corner, he spotted a severed animal head. The relieving part was that moving further ahead, he found out it was a moose that had just been killed. But the fear from before death was clearly visible on the moose's face. Seeing this, Will raised his gun and started looking around. Just then, he spotted another terrifying sight. In an instant, a horde of zombies was less than 5 meters away from him. Will had to gather his courage for the sake of his dog and go inside. Finally, he finds his German Shepherd under a table, who looked extremely scared. Just as he was about to step forward and call out to his dog, the dog's gaze locked directly onto something behind Will's back. Will senses something is wrong. As soon as he turned around, a horrifying scene appeared before him. Will began running frantically toward the exit along with his dog, but eventually they were caught by the zombies. The good thing, however, was that Will jumped out of a dark window in time, and as soon as sunlight fell on the zombie, it immediately collapsed to the ground, injured. Even though the experience he just had frightened him, it also led him to a new location. To experiment experiment on zombies, Will set a trap outside. He drew out a vial of his own blood and placed it at the door of the building, while he himself hid outside. In fact, within just 2 minutes and 30 seconds, a zombie fell into the trap. And as soon as the trap activated, a live zombie was forcibly pulled outside. But just then, with an enraged roar, a zombie with a terrifying face suddenly came out, as if it wanted to devour Will alive that very instant. He himself could not understand why this zombie was so angry. After returning home, Will remained busy experimenting on the zombie. He had absolutely no idea that this female zombie was actually the wife of the zombie king who had just been roaring. Because Will had captured her, a full-scale war broke out between the zombies and humans. He was the only living human in this city, but he was astonished when he saw that a mannequin's head suddenly moved. And what was even more terrifying was that this mannequin, which should actually have been at the door of the video store, had somehow reached several kilometers away. No one could understand how. At that very moment, Will drew out his gun and aimed it at the mannequin, thinking that some human had placed that mannequin there in order to communicate with Will. But he saw no human around, because in reality this was a trap set by the zombie king for revenge, because Will had captured his wife. When Will walks up to the mannequin and bends down to look at the water lying beneath it, suddenly the trap set by the zombie king activates and Will is left hanging in the air. Due to the blow to Will's head, he loses consciousness. When the sun is about to set, Will wakes up hearing his alarm clock. As soon as the sunlight disappears, terrifying zombies come out. Will then takes out the knife from his waist and nervously cuts the rope tied around his feet. But as soon as he falls to the ground, the knife goes straight into his leg, which made things even more difficult because the last rays of the setting sun were fading. The very next moment, Will sensed something was wrong. Terrifying sounds began coming from the dark building ahead. Just then, the zombie king appeared and released 3 ferocious hunting dogs. But because of the remaining rays of the sun, they could not reach him. But just a few minutes later, when the sun sets, the zombie hunting dogs go berserk and attack. At this moment, our main character's life is wounded. Between his life and death, the only ray of hope is that German shepherd who has stood by him through this apocalypse. This German shepherd is his only companion. He is the reason Will is alive. He is afraid that his German shepherd might die. There was a pistol kept in the car. Will began crawling toward the car. But as the last rays of the sun kept fading, the attack of the hunting dogs intensified. He had very little time now. Enduring the pain, he gets up and moves forward on his knees. But after a few steps, he falls to the ground again. At that very same moment, the ferocious zombie dogs pounce on him. But Will stops their attack with the bullets from his gun. But then the second zombie dog lunges at him. The sharp teeth of the ferocious dog were just about to tear through his cheek when the German shepherd arrives just in time and saves him. But the worst was yet to happen. The German shepherd had been bitten by the other dog during the fight that had just occurred. This broke Will's heart because only Will has the antibody, not the German shepherd. After returning home, Will immediately gave an antiviral injection. He picked him up in his arms and began hoping that the German shepherd would get better. He was smiling and consoling himself that his beloved companion would recover. Just then, the German shepherd's body began shedding fur. When he lifted the dog's eyelids, he saw that symptoms of the illness had begun to appear in the corners of the eyes, and life-threatening symptoms were also visible in the mouth. Will's heart broke, but reality forced him to make a painful decision, and not wanting to, Will strangled with his own strong hands the one he loved, the one who had kept him company through countless lonely dark nights. He was completely broken, but at this very same time, Will also becomes aware of a strange problem, that when a human infected with the virus becomes a zombie, they do not have that much intelligence. But still, how could they set a trap just like humans do? But when he looked at the seat beside him and there was no sign of Sam, Will could no longer bear it at that moment. So that very night, he took his car and drove straight toward the harbor and began attacking those zombies without thinking. Although because he was inside the car, the zombies could not harm him, but they kept coming endlessly. They completely surrounded the car and started breaking the glass. Just then, some zombies climbed onto a lamp and dropped it directly onto the car. Will got trapped in the car. He saw the crowd moving toward him, so he quickly started trying to get out of the car, but then even more zombies arrived there. Just then, the leader of the zombies gives the order to attack him. But before Will could do anything, the car from the collision flipped directly to the side, and the monster came face to face with Will. Now Will was like a deer completely trapped in a snare. Death was closing in on him, moment by moment. But at this very moment, a bright light appeared, as if some human was coming toward him. Finally, he could bear it no longer and lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found that he was lying in his own home, and the wound on his leg had been bandaged. He saw that beside him was a woman who was with a child. It had been 3 years since Will had seen a human. He could not understand how to talk to people. After this, the woman began introducing herself. Anna told Will that she had heard about Will on the radio. She had come to New York with the child and waited all day long, but Will never came. She was thinking of going to Vermont because it is a safe place for humans. Hearing this, a look of anger came over Will's face. He told Anna that there is no safe place anywhere here. The whole of America has been destroyed. Anna wanted to argue with Will, but just then, Will shouted at them. He always believed that he was the only living human left on Earth. Because of this, he was under heavy mental pressure. In despair, Will became completely dependent on science and logic and focused all his attention on finding a cure for the virus. His entire life and hopes rested on this one goal. But Anna's news suddenly changed his thinking completely. She told him that there are other survivors elsewhere too. This meant that Will's long-standing loneliness and hard work had perhaps not gone to waste, because now a living human was standing in front of him. Will struggled with his thoughts and emotions in his room for quite a long time. Finally, he accepted reality and came out of the room. Anna explained to Will that they should go with her to the quarantine zone, but Will had flatly refused. He said that he would not leave this place at all. After this, Anna reached Will's lab. When she saw that female zombie lying in ice, she could not believe her eyes and asked Will whether he could really cure the zombie. After this, Anna saw hundreds of photos of zombies on the wall. To make the vaccine, Will had used them like lab rats. As soon as the rays of the sun began to disappear, Will immediately closed all the doors and windows. Anna tried again to convince Will to go to the quarantine zone, but before Will could respond, he suddenly heard a loud commotion from outside. When he opened the small window and looked, he found that a large crowd of zombies was moving toward his house. Will could not believe what he was seeing with his own eyes. He had always tried his best to hide his scent, but still a large crowd of zombies had managed to locate his hideout. They began moving toward them like monsters, completely berserk. When the man asked carefully, it turned out that yesterday when the woman had saved him, she had brought him safely home, but afterwards she had not taken any precautions. Although there was no time to blame her now, Will immediately switched on all the bright lights nearby. But surprisingly, the zombies who normally feared light had suddenly become very clever this time. After destroying all the street lights, they began moving quickly toward the man. Frightened, Will immediately started the second security measure and activated all the surrounding bombs at once. When Will looked again, he found that all the zombies had been killed in the bomb blast. But just as he started calling out for Anna, there was no response. He then went upstairs to look for her. At that exact moment, a zombie attacks him. It grabs him tightly and lifts him straight off the ground and throws him onto the table. Helpless, Will becomes the victim of brutality. Just as the zombie thinks that Will is dead, it does not know that he had been pretending all along. Seizing the opportunity, he picks up a screwdriver and strikes the zombie with it. But this strike does no damage to it. The zombie picks him up and throws him down. Now, just as the zombie king growls angrily toward him, Will quickly picks up a rifle nearby. But the zombie runs away as if it knows how dangerous human weapons are. Will aims here and there, but the zombie hides directly behind a wall. So Will immediately takes aim at the gas cylinder and fires. The explosion sends the zombie flying straight outside, but even then it is not badly injured. After which, it climbs the stairs and disappears from there. When Will chases it, he finds that it jumped out of the window and escaped outside. Will quickly goes inside the house to find the woman, but he sees that there is another zombie in the room, and the woman and child are hiding in fear beneath a cupboard. Will gestured to them to not make any sound at all. He was preparing to finish off the zombie with his pistol, but just then the zombie spotted them. To keep both of them from getting hurt, Will was forced to muster his courage and go inside. He then fired bullets at it, but suddenly a loud noise was heard from outside. When Will opened the door, the zombie king was roaring toward him. In fact, he had gone to call more people. What was even more terrifying was that now their attack was not just destruction, but was with complete planning. When Will saw the zombie leader outside the window, a restlessness rose in his mind because the zombies did not seem to be merely animal-like creatures, but had intelligence too. All three of them quickly fled to the basement. Will then locked the main door tightly and Anna hid in the lab with the child. But just then she saw a miraculous sight and immediately called Will. In fact, the vaccine made by Will was showing results, and the zombie king's wife was slowly transforming back into a human. But just then, the zombies broke inside. Will quickly shut the glass door. Will wanted to tell these zombies that he could turn all the zombies back into humans. But at this time, in the eyes of the zombies, Will himself was also a terrifying zombie, because not only had he been capturing their companions from time to time and experimenting on them, but this time he had even kidnapped the zombie king's wife. Because of this, the entire zombie army boiled over with anger. As the zombie king kept pushing against the glass door, the door was slowly breaking. At this very moment, Will became aware of his own situation. As he was looking around absent-mindedly, his gaze fell on the butterfly mark on the woman's neck. Seeing the butterfly, it felt as if everything had suddenly become clear to him. He immediately picks up a container and draws out the serum from the zombie king's wife's body because her blood was like a vaccine, meaning it could create antibodies. So he draws out the serum and sends the woman and child safely through the underground passage, and after handing the serum to the woman, he closes the gate behind her. Just then, the zombie king shattered the glass. At that very same moment, Will pulled the pin of a grenade and ran straight toward the horde of zombies. And this is where the spectacular movie comes to an end. If you liked the video, please do subscribe to our channel and like the video.